Hi, I'm Rowan. I've always prided myself on being there for my family, especially my son Derek. That's why his text message 3 weeks before Christmas hit me like a physical blow. I was sitting at my kitchen table, finalizing my holiday plans, when my phone buzzed. The coffee in my hand nearly spilled as I read the message. Mom, don't come home for Christmas this year. We need space. We'll explain later. I called immediately, my fingers trembling as I pressed the screen. Derek, what's going on? I just got your text. His voice was distant, cold. Mom, I meant what I said. Janet and I think it's best if you don't visit this year. But why? Did something happen? Is everything okay with the kids? The kids are fine. Look, I can't get into this right now. Janet's parents are coming instead, and we just don't have the room or, honestly, the energy to host you too. Energy? Derek, I've never been a burden. I always help with cooking, and it's not about the cooking, Mom. It's just complicated. Janet feels you're too critical of her parenting, and frankly, I agree. The comments about Zach's screen time and Emma's diet, it's too much. My neighbor Patty walked in with a plate of cookies, her usual cheerful self. She stopped short when she saw my face. Everything okay, Rowan? She mouthed silently. I shook my head slightly before returning to the call. Derek, we can work through this. I never meant to be critical. I was just trying to help. Help? Like when you told Janet's sister that Emma might have attention problems? Or when you suggested Zach might need therapy? That wasn't helping, Mom. That was overstepping. Patty set down the cookies and gestured to ask if I wanted her to leave. I motioned for her to stay. I was concerned, that's all. As a former teacher, I noticed these things. See? That's exactly it. As a former teacher, Mom, you're not their teacher. You're their grandmother, and right now you're not being a very good one. His words stung. Derek Andrew Mitchell. I have always been there for those children. And for you? Yeah, well, maybe that's the problem. You're always there, always hovering, always judging. I don't judge, I care. Well, care from a distance this Christmas. I gotta go. The call ended, and I sat there, staring at my phone in disbelief. Patty approached cautiously. What on earth was that about? My son just uninvited me for Christmas, I said, my voice hollow. Apparently, I'm too critical of his wife's parenting. That's ridiculous. You're the most supportive grandmother I know, Patty said, sliding into the chair opposite mine. Is this Janet's doing? She's always struck me as a bit insecure. Derek claims they both feel this way, that I overstep. And what about your ex-husband? Is Martin going to say anything about this? I sighed. Martin and his new wife are in Aspen this Christmas. Besides, he wouldn't intervene. He never does. Well, what are you going to do? You can't spend Christmas alone? I don't know, Patty. I just don't know. 2 days later, my phone rang with an unfamiliar number. I almost didn't answer, thinking it was another charity call. Hello, is this Rowan Mitchell? A formal male voice inquired. Yes, speaking. Mrs. Mitchell, my name is Lawrence Hoffman. I'm an attorney representing the estate of Victor Carlyle. I'm calling because you've been named in Mr. Carlyle's will. Victor? I gasped. But we haven't spoken in years. Nevertheless, Mrs. Mitchell, you are a significant beneficiary. Could you come to my office tomorrow at 10 a.m.? There are some matters we need to discuss urgently. Of course, but significant beneficiary? What does that mean exactly? Mr. Carlyle was quite specific that details should only be discussed in person, but I will say this is not a minor inheritance. After I hung up, I sat stunned. Victor Carlyle had been my first love, long before Martin. We'd dated in college, but our paths diverged when he pursued a business opportunity abroad. I hadn't heard from him in over 30 years. Victor left me something in his will, I whispered to myself. But why now? And why me? The law office of Hoffman and Associates exuded quiet wealth, all dark wood and leather-bound books. Lawrence Hoffman, a trim man in his 60s with silver hair and wire-rimmed glasses, gestured for me to take a seat. Mrs. Mitchell, thank you for coming on such short notice. Please, call me Rowan. And honestly, I'm still trying to process this. Victor and I haven't been in contact since college. Yes, well, Victor never married. No children. But he spoke of you often, especially in his final months. I leaned forward. His final months? I didn't even know he was sick. Pancreatic cancer. It was quite sudden, but he was very clear about his wishes. He slid a folder across the desk. Victor Carlyle built a substantial technology empire in Asia. Upon his death, he left controlling interest in his company to you, along with his personal estate. The combined value is approximately $68 million. The room seemed to tilt. 68 million. There must be some mistake. No mistake, there's a letter. He handed me an envelope. He asked that you read this privately. I opened it with trembling fingers and began to read Victor's elegant handwriting. My dearest Rowan, if you're reading this, I've finally lost our long-standing argument about who would live longer. You always said your Mitchell stubbornness would outlast my Carlyle recklessness. You win. I never stopped thinking about you. The path not taken has been my most frequent thought these past decades. I've followed your life from afar. Your teaching career, your marriage, your wonderful son. I have no regrets about my business success, but I do regret not fighting harder for us. Consider this my way of ensuring you have the freedom to live the rest of your life on your terms. All my love always. Victor, tears blurred my vision as I folded the letter. Mrs. Mitchell, Rowan, there's something else. Your son called this morning. My head snapped up. Derek called you? How did he even know? Hoffman looked uncomfortable. Apparently, a distant cousin of Victor's reached out to him on social media. Word spreads quickly when large sums are involved. I see. The warmth I'd felt reading Victor's letter cooled instantly. My phone rang as if on cue. Derek's name flashed on the screen. Excuse me, I said to Hoffman, answering the call. Hello, Derek. Mom, why didn't you tell me? I had to hear from some stranger that you're inheriting millions. I just found out myself, literally minutes ago. How would I have told you? Well, this changes things. Janet and I were talking and we feel terrible about Christmas. Of course you should come. In fact, why don't you come earlier? We can help you figure out how to manage all this money. Manage all this? Derek, 2 days ago you told me not to come at all. That was before. Mom, this is huge. You need family around you at a time like this. Mr. Hoffman raised an eyebrow, clearly overhearing Derek's loud voice. Derek, I need to go. I'm still meeting with the attorney. Ask him about trusts for the grandkids. And Mom, seriously, we want you here for Christmas. Janet's already planning which room to put you in. I'll call you later. I hung up and looked at Hoffman. I'm sorry about that. No need to apologize. I see this quite often, unfortunately. Sudden wealth changes family dynamics. Apparently so, I replied dryly. Tell me, Mr. Hoffman, how quickly can these assets be transferred? Please call me Lawrence, and most can be transferred immediately. Victor was very thorough with his estate planning. Good, because I think I'm going to need your help with some planning of my own. The week before Christmas, I sat in my living room with Patty and my old colleague Elaine, who had practiced family law before retiring to teach. So let me get this straight, Elaine said, her reading glasses perched on her nose as she reviewed the documents. Derek has called you every day since finding out about the inheritance? Sometimes twice, I confirmed. And Janet, too. She sent flowers, a handwritten apology note, and 3 separate invitations to stay as long as I want. Patty snorted. Amazing what $68 million will do to change someone's opinion of you. What does Martin say about all this? Elaine asked. He cut his Aspen trip short, suggested we reconnect for the sake of family unity. I couldn't keep the bitterness from my voice. 20 years of barely acknowledging my existence, and suddenly he wants to reconcile. The doorbell rang. Patty peeked through the curtains. Speaking of the devil, it's Derek. Perfect timing, I said, straightening my shoulders. Let's see what today's excuse is. I opened the door to find my son standing there with a gift basket. Mom! Surprise visit! I was in the area for a client meeting and thought I'd stop by. He thrust the basket toward me. Janet put this together for you, all your favorites. How thoughtful. Please come in. Derek faltered slightly when he saw Elaine and Patty. Oh, you have company. Yes, we're discussing my financial options. Derek, you remember my friend Elaine Morris? She practiced family law. Family law? His smile dimmed. Why would you need a family lawyer? Please, sit down. I gestured to the empty chair. We were just getting to that. Derek sat cautiously, eyeing the papers spread across the coffee table. So, Derek, Elaine began pleasantly, your mother tells me you've had a change of heart about Christmas. He shifted uncomfortably. Well, yes. Janet and I realized we were being selfish. Family should be together for the holidays. Interesting timing, Patty muttered. Excuse me? Derek's tone sharpened. Derek, I interrupted. I appreciate the sudden invitation, but I've made other plans. What plans? Mom, we want you with us. The kids are expecting you now. The same kids you were protecting from my critical eye last week? His face flushed. I was stressed. I said things I didn't mean. No, you said exactly what you meant. And I've been thinking about it a lot. You were right about one thing. I need to stop trying so hard with people who don't value my presence. That's not fair. We value you. We love you. Do you? Because when I had nothing but love to offer, it wasn't enough. Now that I have money, suddenly I'm the mother and grandmother of the year. Derek leaned forward, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. Is this about the will? Mom, I don't care about the money. Really? Then you won't mind what I've decided to do with it. What do you mean? I handed him a document from the table. I'm establishing the Victor Carlisle Foundation for Education. I'm donating $50 million to create scholarship funds for underprivileged students. $50 million? Derek's voice cracked. But that's... Most of the inheritance, yes. I'm keeping enough to live comfortably and travel a bit. The rest will help children who otherwise couldn't afford college. But what about your family? Your grandchildren? I've set up modest college funds for Emma and Zach, $20,000 each, which will grow over time. The same amount I've been saving for them since they were born. The savings you and Janet never knew about because you never asked about my financial planning. Derek stood up abruptly. You can't do this. That money should stay in the family. It was never your money, Derek. It was left to me by someone who loved me unconditionally with no strings attached. This is about punishing me, isn't it? One text message, one mistake, and you're cutting us off. I'm not cutting anyone off. I'm making choices about my own assets, just like you made choices about your own family holiday. Janet will be devastated, he threatened. I imagine she will. But I've learned something important from all this, Derek. True family doesn't appear only when there's something to gain. The foundation announcement made the local news. Lawrence had suggested publicity would help establish legitimacy quickly. Derek and Janet arrived unannounced at my door the next morning, faces tight with anger. Mom, what have you done? Derek demanded, pushing past me into the living room. $50 million to strangers instead of your own family. The decision is final, I said, standing my ground. The paperwork is signed. Janet's smile was brittle. Rowan, surely there's still plenty left. The children were so looking forward to seeing you. Were they? Or were you looking forward to accessing the inheritance? Derek's face flushed. That's unfair. We apologized for the Christmas text. Yes, exactly 43 minutes after learning about the money. I kept my voice calm. Your timing made your priorities very clear. So this is revenge. You're punishing us for one mistake? This isn't punishment, Derek. It's consequences. When you had no use for me, you discarded me. When you thought I had something to offer, you suddenly wanted me back. That's not love. That's opportunism. Janet stepped forward. We could contest this in court. Family has rights. You're welcome to try, I replied. But the money is already transferred. The foundation exists. It's done. Derek loomed over me. You'll regret this when you're old and alone. I already regret not standing up for myself years ago. But I'm correcting that now. I moved toward the door. I think we're finished here. "This isn't over," Derek warned as they left. "Actually, it is," I said, closing the door behind them. 3 days later, on Christmas morning, I boarded a plane with Patty and her husband. We were headed to Thailand, where the Foundation's first project, a school dedicated to Victor's memory, would break ground after New Year's. My phone buzzed with a text from Emma. "Grandma, Mom and Dad won't let us call you, but I snuck my phone into the bathroom. Merry Christmas. I miss you." I smiled as I replied, "Merry Christmas, sweetheart. This won't be forever. Sometimes adults need to work through difficult feelings. I miss you too." As the plane took off, I gazed at the clouds and thought about choices. Derek had made his, and I had made mine. For the first time in decades, I was living life on my terms. And it felt like freedom. What would you do if family only valued you when you had something to give them? Would you forgive, or would you, like me, choose to redefine the relationship entirely? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories about family, betrayal, and finding your own path.